close your eyes, imagine the world thousands of years ago. A world where the stars shone brighter than we can ever see today, where the heavens were endless and alive, and the only light after sunset came from the moon, the flames of torches, or the sacred fires that burned in ancient temples. There were no street lamps, no electricity, no hum of machines, only the rhythm of nature, the breath of wind through stone, the rustle of animals in the distance, and the voices of priests calling softly into the night. Can you feel it? That strange mixture of calm and mystery. The ancients did not fear the night in the same way we sometimes do. For them, it was holy. It was the realm where gods could be reached, where souls could travel beyond the ordinary, where the unseen became present. Their rituals were not simply ceremonies. They were doorways, delicate bridges between the world of humans and the world beyond. And tonight, you will walk through those doorways with me. Slowly, softly, step by step. We will drift into Mesopotamia, cradle of civilization, wander into Egypt, the land of pyramids and eternal life, journey through the torchlit mysteries of Greece, and at last we will rest in the marble shadows of Rome. There is no haste, no hurry. This is a path made for sleep, for peace, for the quiet unfolding of images and sounds. You may close your eyes, you may let your breathing slow, the story will carry you. And if you drift away into dreams, let that be the ritual's final gift. Now, let us climb the first temple steps together. Chapter 1: Mesopotamia, under the stars of Babylon. The land between the rivers, the great Euphrates and the Tigris. Here rose the first cities, here stood the towering ziggurats, stairways of stone that reached upward like giant ladders to the sky. And imagine this, it is night. The air still warm from the day, but cooling gently now, the desert winds soft against your skin. Above you, an ocean of stars, countless, dazzling, shimmering like jewels scattered across an infinite cloth of black. For the people of Mesopotamia, these were not merely stars. They were signs, they were gods, they were the very language of destiny itself. Down below, at the base of the great ziggurat, the priests are gathering. Look at them, moving with measured slowness, their robes of white linen brushing against the stone. Some carry vessels of water drawn carefully from the river, believed to hold the essence of life itself. Others carry baskets of dates, of figs, of barley, the food of the land, gifts for the divine. And still others hold small jars of perfumed oils, gleaming softly in the torchlight. Step by step, they climb the staircase. Slowly, silently, each movement a prayer, each breath a gesture of devotion. The people below, farmers, merchants, families, watch in silence, their eyes lifted upward, following the flickering flames as they ascend. The night is hushed, only the distant bark of a dog, the murmur of wind, the quiet shuffle of sandals against stone. At the summit, the altar awaits. A flame already burns there, steady against the desert breeze. The priests gather in a circle, their shadows dancing long and thin against the high stone walls. One priest, chosen for this night, steps forward. His hands rise slowly toward the heavens, his voice begins to chant in deep, rhythmic tones. He calls upon Anu, the god of the sky, upon Enlil, lord of wind and earth, and upon Inanna, radiant goddess of love, of war, of the stars themselves. The words roll into the night. The smoke rises upward, the fire crackles softly. The people believe that the smoke carries their prayers, carries them high beyond the stars, to where the gods dwell. Do you feel the stillness? The air itself seems to pause, to listen. Then the music begins. First, the harp, delicate, shimmering notes, plucked slowly, gently. Then the flute, breathy, wavering, like the sigh of the desert wind. And finally, the drum, deep, slow, steady, like the pulse of the earth itself. This is not music to entertain, no, it is music as a bridge, music as a sacred path between mortal and divine. Each beat, each note, is a step closer to mystery. Listen now to the hymns, songs written thousands of years ago, praising Inanna, praising the stars, praising the endless cycle of birth and death. The singers chant, their voices layered, rising and falling like waves upon the sea. And then comes the most profound of rituals, the sacred marriage. The king himself, or at times a high priest, takes part in a symbolic union with the goddess Inanna. This is no simple ceremony, it is cosmic. It represents the joining of heaven and earth, the binding of the divine to the human, the assurance that the crops will grow, the animals will multiply, the people will thrive. Poetry is spoken, rich, sensual, filled with metaphor, describing the beauty of the goddess, the power of fertility, the eternal bond between man and the divine feminine. The people listen in awe, believing that, in this moment, the goddess herself descends to walk among them. Offerings are placed upon the altar, bowls of milk poured carefully onto the ground, to nourish the soil, baskets of grain and fruit left in heaps, symbols of gratitude. Tiny clay figurines laid gently at the feet of the divine statue, tokens of devotion, whispers of prayer turned into form. And all the while, the priests keep watch upon the sky. For the stars themselves speak. The movement of Venus, the rising of Jupiter, the shadow of an eclipse, these are not accidents, not random. They are messages, carefully recorded on clay tablets, studied for generations. To look upward at night is not to see emptiness, but to read the eternal script of the gods. Imagine yourself there, high on the ziggurat roof, torches burning all around you, the smell of incense and oil drifting through the air, the soft echo of harp and drum, the chanting of voices that seem to weave into the very stars. Above you, the night sky endless, shimmering, eternal. Below you, the city of Babylon sleeping quietly, its walls bathed in shadow. You feel so small, yet so deeply connected, as though for a brief moment, your own breath moves in rhythm with the entire universe. This is the night of Mesopotamia. Not noise, not chaos, but solemn reverence, ritual, rhythm, a way of entering into the great mystery of existence and resting safely within it. The stars wheel slowly overhead. The torches burn lower. The music grows softer. And as the night drifts toward dawn, the rituals end. The priests descend the steps once more, their vessels empty, their voices quiet. The people return to their homes, carrying with them the calm assurance that the gods have heard, that the world is in balance, that life will continue. And now, we leave Mesopotamia behind. But the echo of its rituals remains, like the faint hum of a drum still beating somewhere far away. Chapter 2: Egypt, Night in the Temples of the Nile. The sun has set beyond the western desert, the golden disk slipping into the realm of the dead. The air cools, the colors of the horizon fade, and slowly, the world of Egypt is claimed by night. For the ancients, this was not simply darkness. No. This was the passage of the sun god himself into the underworld, the nightly journey of Ra through shadow and danger, through serpents and hidden waters, until he would rise again at dawn. Every sunset was a death, every sunrise a resurrection. And within this cosmic rhythm, the temples came alive. The great gates of stone close. Boom, the echo ringing through the vast courtyards. The crowds depart. Merchants and worshippers drift into the streets, their voices fading, their footsteps swallowed by the sand. Inside the temple, only the priests remain. They walk silently, their linen robes glowing faintly in the torchlight, their skins scented with oils of lotus and frankincense. Imagine the hall, row upon row of stone columns rising like a forest, each carved with hieroglyphs that tell of gods and kings. Torches flicker, their flames painting the walls with living shadows. And above, the ceiling is dark, deep blue, scattered with golden stars. It feels as though the entire sky has descended into this sacred place. The air is heavy with incense, rich resin, sweet myrrh, sharp cedar. The smoke curls upward in delicate spirals, wrapping itself around the statues, drifting toward the painted heavens above. The people believe this smoke was not for them, but for the gods, food for the divine, breath for the immortal. Now the procession begins. The priests move in slow, careful rhythm. Their garments pure white, their heads shaven, their bodies washed in sacred pools. Each step is measured, each gesture precise, as if every movement itself were a prayer. Some wear masks, the falcon face of Horus, the jackal head of Anubis, the cow ears of Hathor. When the mask is worn, the priest is no longer a man, he is the god, present in flesh, walking in the temple halls. At the center lies the holiest chamber, the sanctuary. By day it is closed, sealed with doors and veils, hidden from the eyes of mortals. But by night, the veils are drawn back. The lamps are lit. And within stands the image of the god. A statue of gold and stone, eyes inlaid with precious gems that gleam in the trembling light. The figure seems alive, breathing, watching, waiting. The silence here is immense, pressing, eternal. The priests bow deeply. Their voices rise in hymns, slow and melodic. Listen, words in ancient Egyptian flowing like a river, repeating again and again, like the endless cycle of the Nile. They sing of Osiris, the god who was killed, torn into pieces, scattered, and of Isis, who searched for him, who gathered him, who wept and sang until life returned. Death and rebirth, sorrow and joy, darkness and light. The story mirrors the very rhythm of the seasons, the flooding of the river, the return of life to the fields. The ritual unfolds like a dance. A bowl of water lifted high, sprinkled across the stones to bless the earth. Milk poured into vessels, an offering of nourishment. Bread, figs, honey, and wine laid upon the altar. Each action is symbol, each action a bond between the world of men and the world of gods. The music begins, slow drums beating like the pulse of the earth. The rattle of the sistrum, bright, metallic, sharp and shimmering. The flute sighs long and low, its notes bending like the desert wind. The sound is simple, but it seeps into the bones, into the mind, carrying worshippers into a trance-like calm. Not all nights are solemn, some belong to joy. The festivals of Hathor, goddess of music and beauty. Priestesses dance, their movements smooth, flowing, like water across stone. They raise their arms, sway their hips, circle slowly, their jewelry glinting in firelight. The people clap softly, sing gently, drink sweet wine. It is not frenzy, but celebration, as something sacred. Beauty itself, a gift of the divine. But there are also nights of grief. Nights when the priests reenact the death of Osiris. They cry aloud, their voices breaking, wailing, echoing against the cold stone. They carry a statue wrapped in cloth, hidden from view. The temple becomes a tomb, heavy with smoke, heavy with silence. Torches burn low, shadows stretch long, and all feel the weight of loss. And then, slowly, the cloth is lifted. The image revealed. Songs of resurrection rise into the air, voices trembling, growing stronger. The torches flare, the incense burns bright. Life returns. Hope returns. And with it, the promise of eternity. For the Egyptians, night was not emptiness. It was a sacred passage, a space of transformation. In darkness the gods moved freely, the dead traveled, the sun god fought his battles. Every ritual was part of this cycle, this great story in which all were actors. And when dawn finally touches the horizon, the lamps are extinguished. The veils are drawn once more. The god is hidden in silence. The priests step into the cool air of morning, their work complete. The golden sun rises once again, eternal, eternal, eternal. The temple rests. The people return to their daily lives. But the memory of the night lingers, like the faint smell of incense in the air. A reminder that beyond the ordinary, there is always the mystery. Thus ends the night in the temples of the Nile. Chapter 3: Greece, Nights of Mystery and Dionysian Fire. The Aegean Sea lies dark, its waves glimmering faintly beneath the silver moon. The hills rise quietly against the horizon, olive trees casting long shadows in the night breeze. And along the sacred road, you hear it, the sound of footsteps, slow and steady, sandals pressing against the stones. Hundreds of them. A procession, carrying torches, their flames swaying, flickering, blazing against the endless dark. The glow spreads across the path like a river of fire. This is no ordinary night. This is the night of the Eleusinian mysteries. The most sacred rites of Greece, performed in honor of Demeter, goddess of the grain, and her daughter Persephone. Their story was known to every Greek, the tale of loss, of descent into the underworld, of return and rebirth. Persephone, taken by Hades into the shadows below. Demeter grieving so deeply that the earth itself grew barren, fields turned to dust, seeds refused to sprout. Until at last, the reunion. Persephone rising again, bringing spring, bringing life. The initiates walk slowly, their torches glowing, their voices low, chanting hymns in rhythm with their steps. The air is thick with smoke, with anticipation, with the sense that something more than human is about to unfold. Every footstep is a heartbeat. Every flicker of fire a star fallen to the earth. The road leads to Eleusis, to the great hall known as the Telesterion. Its doors close behind the chosen, shutting out the world. Only the initiated may see, may hear, may experience what lies within. What happened there was kept secret, always, eternally, and those who revealed the mysteries faced death. And yet, whispers remain. Inside, the hall is vast, shadowed, lined with stone. Torches burn along the walls, smoke curling upward. The initiates sit in silence, their eyes reflecting firelight, their breath held. The priests enter, veiled, carrying sacred objects hidden from view. They move with solemn slowness, their gestures precise, their words echoing like thunder softened into whispers. And then, the moment of revelation. Ancient writers hint at it, a sudden light, brighter than torches, a blazing fire that filled the hall, banishing shadows. Sacred objects unveiled, symbols of life, of death, of return. What were they? Ears of grain. A sacred flame. A vessel of water. We may never know. But we know this: the initiates emerged changed. They spoke of peace, of calm, of the certainty that death was not the end. They said they no longer feared the grave, for they had seen, they had felt, that life continues, that the soul returns, that like Persephone, we rise again. Imagine it, sitting there in the hall, the sudden blaze of light searing through the darkness, the chants vibrating in your chest, the smell of smoke and earth and fire filling your lungs. Your heart racing, yet strangely calm, as though eternity itself had brushed against you. But not all Greek nights were solemn. Some belonged to Dionysus, god of wine, of ecstasy, of transformation. His rites began in groves, in hills, beneath the open sky. Men and women alike crowned themselves with ivy, carried thyrsi, staffs wound with vines, and raised their torches high. The night filled with song, with flutes and drums, with cries to the god. Do not think of chaos, not always. The rites were liberation, release from burden, a loosening of the soul. The dancers swayed, spun, their movements free, unbound, their bodies shimmering in the firelight. Wine flowed, but it was more than drink. It was symbol, the blood of the earth, poured out, shared, blessed. The worshippers sang hymns, their voices strong, wild, yet deeply rhythmic. They danced in circles, torches blazing, their shadows leaping across the trees. They believed that in these moments, Dionysus himself was present, not as a distant god, but as a living force flowing through them, in their breath, their blood, their laughter. The night stretched long. The drums beat steadily. The flames flickered like living spirits. And when dawn approached, the people were different. Lighter. Freed. Their grief washed away, their hearts unburdened, their spirits glowing with a calm joy. So the Greeks held two faces of the sacred night. The solemn, hidden mysteries of Eleusis, rites of silence, transformation, and eternal calm. And the open, joyous rites of Dionysus, songs, dances, laughter, wine, torches burning bright against the night. Both were paths into the divine. Both were steps into the eternal rhythm of life and death and rebirth. And both left their mark, not only upon the people of Greece, but upon all who hear their echoes even now. Thus we step away from Greece, the torches fading, the chants dissolving into the quiet sea wind. Ahead lies Rome, the eternal city, where the night holds fires both solemn and festive, hidden and public, divine and human. Chapter 4: Rome, Fire, Shadows, and Eternal Rites. The streets of Rome at night, do you hear them? The faint echo of sandals on stone, the murmur of fountains, the distant cry of animals in the dark. Above, the moon drifts over rooftops and temples, silver spilling across marble statues, across columns carved with histories of conquest. The city does not sleep entirely. Torches burn at crossroads, watchmen pass with spears in hand, but within the temples, something deeper stirs. Something older. Something that belongs not to empire, but to the eternal rhythm of sacred night. Look first to the round temple of Vesta, the goddess of the hearth. Its flames are never allowed to die, not for a single heartbeat. By day, the Vestal virgins tend the sacred fire, feeding it with olive wood, sprinkling incense into the smoke. But at night, the temple glows with an otherworldly calm. Imagine the circle of flame, steady, unwavering, the flicker reflecting in polished marble. The air is warm, scented with resin and ash. Silence reigns here, absolute, serene. To watch the flame at night was to watch the beating heart of Rome itself. If the fire died, the city would fall, so the virgins kept vigil, eyes open, prayers whispered into the glow, endlessly, endlessly. Elsewhere, in the shadowed groves, the rites of Bacchus, the Roman face of Dionysus, echo in the darkness. The Bacchanalia, wild, whispered, feared, yet irresistible. Torches blaze among trees, shadows leap upon trunks, and the rhythm of drums carries through the night air. Cloaks fall loose, garlands of ivy adorn heads, cups of wine pass from hand to hand. The worshippers dance, cry aloud, sing praises to the god of ecstasy and release. For a few hours, the weight of Roman law, of duty, of discipline, melts away. The body becomes free, the soul unchained, the night itself a living god. Some feared it, some sought to ban it, but still, in secret, the baksheet fires burned. And yet Rome was not only passion and frenzy. It was solemnity. It was the mystery of the gods brought into order. In the great festivals of Ceres, the goddess of grain, processions wound through the streets by torchlight. Priests carried statues draped in cloth, their faces hidden. The people followed, silent, their steps measured, their eyes lowered. At the temples, sacrifices were laid, bread, wine, milk, honey, the gifts of the earth returned to the divine. Torches lined the altars, their smoke rising into the night sky, drifting toward the unseen stars. Think of the Lemuria, a festival of the dead. At midnight, the master of the household rose from his bed, barefoot, robed. He washed his hands, and in the silent darkness, he moved through the house with black beans in his mouth. One by one, he spat them out, casting them behind him, whispering, "With these I redeem myself and mine." He did not look back, he dared not. For the spirits of the restless dead followed, gathering the beans as offerings, appeased, soothed. 9 times he spoke the prayer. 9 times he drove the shadows from his home. And when it was done, silence returned. The night was calm. The family slept safely once more. The Romans believed the night was a threshold. It was the realm of Manes, the spirits of the dead. It was the hour of Laras, the guardians of home and hearth. And so, their rituals were woven with both reverence and fear, with hope and with caution. Torches lit not only the temples, but the very streets, to ward off what might linger in the shadows. Picture the grand temples at night, the temple of Jupiter upon the Capitoline hill, its columns rising like giants into the sky. Torches stand at its gates, their flames bending in the wind. Inside, priests in crimson-trimmed robes move slowly, chanting in deep tones that echo through the vast hall. Offerings are placed before the towering image of the god, oxen sacrificed by day, their blood already poured, but by night the smoke of incense and herbs continues the prayer. The statues seem alive, their eyes glimmering in the flickering fire. The very stone seems to breathe, to wait, to listen. And always there is the presence of the moon. Luna, the goddess herself, gliding across the heavens. Her temple on the Aventine hill glows softly in her light. Worshippers gather, raising their hands to the silver sky, singing hymns that flow like water, smooth, calm, endless. The moon was not feared here, it was embraced, a guide, a protector, a witness to every secret rite. Rome was empire. Rome was conquest. But in the quiet of the night, even the mightiest bowed their heads to forces older than kings. Fire, shadow, silence, song, together they wove the eternal fabric of sacred time. And as the hours pass, as torches burn low, as priests whisper their final chants, the city of marble grows quiet. The sacred fires still glow, but softly now, steady, eternal. Above, the stars fade into the first light of dawn. The rituals end. The night closes its doors. And the people of Rome step once more into the day. The journey is almost complete. The torches have burned down, the incense has faded into air, the chants have dissolved into memory. We have walked through Mesopotamia. We have stood upon the steps of Babylon's ziggurats. We have entered the shadowed halls of Egypt, where incense curled around golden statues. We have sat within the mysteries of Greece, lit by sudden, blinding fire. We have followed the torches of Rome, watched the flames of Vesta, felt the hush of the Lemuria. And now, it is time to let the night close softly around us. Imagine yourself standing upon a high hill. The ancient world stretched below you, the rivers and deserts, the seas and cities, all wrapped in darkness. The temples glow faintly, their fires small against the vastness of the night sky. Above you, stars. Countless, eternal, silent. They do not hurry. They do not tire. They simply shine, as they have shone over every ritual, every prayer, every life that ever was. You breathe slowly, deeply, the air cool, calm, filled with the faint scent of smoke and stone and earth. With every breath, the weight of history seems to lift from your shoulders. The voices of priests and worshippers fade into echoes, gentle and far away, like waves upon a distant shore. The night itself feels alive, yet tender, wrapping you in its cloak of silence. The gods are far above, yet also near, within your very heartbeat. The mysteries remain hidden, yet you sense them, quiet, eternal, not demanding to be solved, only felt. The fires burn lower. Shadows soften. The drums are no more, the flutes no more, the rattles no more. Only the slow rhythm of your own breath remains. In and out, like the waves, like the turning of the seasons, like the endless rising and setting of the sun. You realize something, that all these rituals, all these flames, all these chants, were not only for the gods, but for the people themselves. To calm them. To guide them. To give them peace in the face of mystery. To remind them that life continues, that death is not an end, that night is not emptiness, but a bridge into something deeper. And so, tonight, you too have walked that bridge. You too have stepped softly into the mysteries. And now, you may let go. You may let the night carry you. Close your eyes, breathe slowly, let the images drift, the flicker of torches, the sound of drums, the whisper of prayers, the shining of stars. One by one they fade, like shadows at dawn. The night grows quiet. The stars shine steady. The world sleeps. And you may drift gently into dreams, safe, calm, eternal. Sleep now.